We are about 2/3 of the way through the holiday season 2024-2025, and as is, and I know I'm privileged, customary with most of us auto journalists, we get to keep vehicles for 2 weeks during the period of the holidays because most of the places where we pick up our press cars, well, they close down for the holiday season. And this year I went with an SUV that I had not driven in almost 6 years. As you can see before you and in the caption, obviously, this is a 2025 very recently nipped and tucked Volvo XC90. So many things have crossed my mind in my time with this, well, admittedly really handsome looking denim blue 2025 XC90. And one of them is that we consumers fall into the craziest traps consistently when it comes to luxury. I don't know why we do this to ourselves, but and I'm going to make this brief. This is more like a blog post than a review, but I walked out or stepped out, whatever, out of a 2025 Honda Pilot Trail Sport into this. This vehicle is about, I can't math, 70% more expensive than the Trail Sport I stepped out of. And for all intents and purposes, this thing is no more refined, no more luxurious, no more better at doing anything than the Pilot is. Yet, because it's a Volvo, okay, fine, this is a T8 plug-in hybrid version, so there's that, but I don't know, as long as we consumers want to pay so much more for next to nothing more, I mean, automakers will just be happy, businesses will just be happy. Anyhow, that was one observation. The other is that, yeah, this Volvo XC90, this generation launched for 2015 and was first facelifted in 2019. And I had a lot of problems with it because I drove it in 15 and 17 and 19. I think I even drove it in 18. And for the most part, I had a huge problem with a lot of the ways this vehicle functioned and operated. Never did much complain about the styling or the space, though that has changed, my friend, no S. But what I've discovered now in its, well, what, 11th model year of this generation of the XC90, it's become very, very good. Though some things have not quite changed, physically anyway. I mean, it looks almost identical, but see, that's just, I'm going off track here, but there is no track, so I can do whatever I want. Scandinavian styling, simplistic designs age so well. This is absolute proof of that, but we'll do a few walk-arounds, and, as we usually do. But one of the greatest assets and issues with the XC90 T8, which once was recharged, now it's just T8, and was once all-wheel drive, now it's, well, not mentioned per se, and the trims have changed and whatever, is that there have been vast improvements, but some have haven't changed at all. But it's not necessarily a bad thing, it's not necessarily a good thing. Anyhow, if you're still there, which if you are, thank you so much. But we're going to do, as I said, a few laps inside and out of this 2025 Volvo XC90 T8. And then we're going to take it for a drive. And that's where it gets really interesting and, well, some things won't change, at least not in this generation of the XC90. Anyhow, please hang in there. And here we go. All right, so like right into design, obviously, as I've said, the Scandinavian design, Thor's hammer headlights, everything looks absolutely beautiful. There's, again, simplicity is beauty. I mean, the headlights have been nipped and tucked, as I said, little revisions to the bumpers, and a number of other mild little updates and upgrades. For the most part, as I've said, it's just a beautiful, beautiful, stylish SUV. And I mean, maybe you pay a little bit more for that, but not so much more. And speaking of so much more, in the US, the base B5 starts at $57,400, and at the top trim T8 PHEV, $71,900 is the base price. In Canada, we have no B5. It starts out with the B6, which is a mild hybrid, $79,950, and the T8 plug-in hybrid, as it sits here, well, almost, starts at a whopping $93,450. The standard trim is Ultra. So like I said, the trim's kind of changed. You get the panoramic sunroof, Harman Kardon audio, 4-zone HVAC. It's a 7-seater, which is good, not so good. 12.3-inch digital IP, a 9-inch touchscreen. That whatever crystal shifter, all the assisted driver assistance things, which I hate. Apple CarPlay, Napa leather, 21-inch wheels. I mean, yes, obviously it's completely loaded. Heated, cooled front seats, heated rear seats. My tester has the lounge package, which gives you the front row massaging seats, as well as active air suspension, which is why I think it's already lowered. It's squat, which is fantastic. That is definitely an asset to this model. By the way, that's a $2,350 option. It also has the massive Bowers & Wilkins audio system, which is, well, incredible. As it sits, this 2025 Volvo XC90 T8 plug-in hybrid is a whopping $102,105. Denim blue. I mentioned it in the 21-inch wheels as you see them there. I mean, that's the price of a GV80 coupe, Genesis GV80 coupe. So I don't know. You figure that one out. But yeah, so power hatch, and this was one of the things that I really love. Look how quick that thing is. I love it when you're getting up close, and it also has a kick function should it work. So 640 liters behind the third row, 1,816 liters as it sits here. Decent sized bin. There's a cable for the recharge, and that's where I'm going to forget my expensive tripod. What I wanted to say, I should have left the seats in the third row instead of removing them, but anyway, I was going shopping and buying bigger items. But this thing is actually, it's not bad when you have only, say, 2 people to sit in the second row. But if you have people that sit in the third row, and these are kids in my case, when it's up, there's the carpet on it, that's why it's a little pain in the butt, but even they complain that they had no space for their feet. So the seats, which slide fore and aft thanks to the handle here, were slid forward, meaning that they in the second row were actually tight. We're talking about 8 and 6-year-old kids here. But for human adults, not too bad. The middle seat can be used as a backup plan for an adult, but the cushion is not as nice as the remainder. Try to do this with one hand because it has the integrated booster in there. Yeah, HVAC controls for the rear, 2 zones back here. I mean, see, this is what I was saying, Bowers & Wilkins. The sound is beautiful. The materials, yes, fine, okay. This is much nicer than what you get in the Pilot, and this is a nice touch too, which I think you had in the Pilot as well. As always, the seats in Volvos are just exceptional. Fit and finish, fine. It's much nicer. I did complain that the Pilot had a chintzy, cheapy looking interior, or at least compared to a Civic. Again, I'm going off track. But yeah, massaging function, multi-adjustable, as you would expect. You know, the bolsters close in and out. This lower seat cushion moves in and out. They are very good looking, and they are just as comfortable to sit in. Do like the door bins in here, and I'm always the switch gear. I think I'm trying to remember if these were not the same ones that you had in the Volvo S40, which was launched 20 years ago. But they work. Why not? Okay, so let's go inside. There it is. It's on 12.3-inch digital IP. That's fine. Okay, a bunch of things to say. I hope I get through most of it. So CarPlay, yeah, CarPlay, but it's only wired, not wireless, which is fine because I never wire that stuff. So multiple menus, all your setups. The only important stuff to know is that HVAC controls, that's it. You have to go through this tiny little portion of the screen. So if you have big winter gloves, very annoying. But thankfully it's been relatively efficient considering the weather conditions, which only a few days ago, 2 days ago in fact, it was like almost minus 15 degrees Celsius, whereas today it is, whoops, hit the wipers, as you can see, it's 6 degrees Celsius. Climate crisis, what? Anyway, what else did I want to say? Oh yeah, I complained in the past with the PHEV that the drive modes were a pain in the butt. So it's still the same thing. So let's just say you're on your CarPlay screen, which is not connected, but you're there. So if you want to change the drive mode, I'm showing this to you now, right? And it's only a 9-inch screen, by the way. And that's one of the issues. If you're going to make me spend $93,000+, this is not acceptable. No HVAC controls other than defrost. I don't like that. But anyway, so driving, close in, do this through the phone. So it's driving. So at least your drive modes are right up here. And contrary to the past, I mean, the menus have evolved a little bit. So you do have your battery usage, the hold, the charge, which is kind of nice. Now, you do have with the shifter, right? Let's just do that. So you got drive, I'll zoom in, and then you go into B, and that's when you get one pedal driving. The weird thing is that I would suspect that most people who want one pedal driving don't want, where's the creep? There it is, the creep. So this is true one pedal driving, but you can have one pedal driving with creep. I guess it's a nice feature, depends on what you like, but that's one option that seems a little too much. Air suspension has to be activated, and easy. Yeah, that's why it's lowered when you park it, which looks good too, and it's nice. But about driving assistance, oh yeah, well, they're all there. Okay, so driver support. I'm trying to do too many things here. By default, lane keeping aid, not that it comes back on, but there's always like a 10% margin that remains. So sometimes when you're driving, the steering wheel will kick a little bit and you think it's off. That is the type of thing that Volvo does that I find completely unacceptable. But what is acceptable? Acceptable being the right word. Storage is limited, but acceptable. Acceptable. I showed you the door bins. I said that the dashboard is nice. I mean, it's actually really nice. The wood finish, it's real, and this is real Napa leather. It's a lovely, lovely interior, but far more cramped than I thought it would be with only 4 kids and 2 adults. But look, the sight lines are fantastic. The screen is nice and low, and visibility is really good, as you would expect in a Volvo. And now it's drive time. Massaging seats on. Okay. What I didn't mention actually is what I was talking about, you know, the lack of space. It's because this is a 7-seater, that middle seat doesn't come out and the kids have to climb over it unless you slide the seats forward. So maybe as a family vehicle for more than 2 kids, not the best, even 7-seater. Anyway, I just wanted to add that. Okay, so under the bonnet, as with all ICE Volvos, 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine with hybrid functionality. In the case of the T8, you get an 18.8 kilowatt hour battery, and this is a considerable jump from the previous PHEV, which had a 10.4 kilowatt hour battery, which also serves to explain the range increase, which I think it was 40 or 41 kilometers. Now it's 53 kilometers. I guess we can touch on that right away. I don't know if you noticed my average fuel consumption. Volvo says in combined driving, you can expect about 8.9 liters per 100 kilometers. I was averaging, I think it's 10.6, it was written 10.5, right around there. That's far, far more realistic. And I will add that I have a Flow X5 charger at home, and I've been plugging it in religiously, using as little as possible of the petrol reserves, and regardless, I can't get it under 10 liters per 100 kilometers no matter what I do. And I mentioned also, it was very cool just a few days ago, max range I managed to extract was maybe 35 kilometers. So we're talking about a 40-ish% drop, which is huge. The thing is that even on a full charge indicated I had up to 55, but it's one of those, you know, the first 3 kilometers you drive, you're down to 44, and you're like, how the heck did that happen? Those are the downsides with the PHEV, with the big battery, with the climate, temperature changes or variations. Some snow last week, though nothing really psychotic to talk about. Just so you know, I've been in pure drive mode almost exclusively, meaning that the XC90 T8's brain is locking out the petrol engine as much as possible and maximizing the use of the stored electrons. The 2-liter electric motors, the battery, do have one heck of an impact, though, on output numbers. So in the previous, with the smaller battery, you had 400 horsepower, and I forget the exact torque number, but now you're up to 455 horsepower. This is not recent to now. This has been around for a couple of years. It was available in the V60 T8 and all the other T8s. And 523 pound-feet of torque. That is some serious power, my friends. This thing I didn't check, unfortunately, but weighs well in excess of 5,000 pounds. I am certain of it. And will still pull a 0 to 100 kilometer an hour sprint in only 5.3 seconds. 0 to 60 is 5 flat. I don't know how that extra 4 kilometers an hour takes 0.3 seconds, but it doesn't matter. This thing is impressively quick. What more can I... Oh, the air suspension, yeah. Oh, no, before that, I recall complaining about the transition between electric assistance, petrol assistance, the transition between the two, the hybrid and all that, and that is all gone. The programming, the software upgrades, possibly the hardware upgrades as well, have made this into a seamless, ultra refined, really, really nice hybrid, plug-in hybrid driving experience. Range, not quite convincing, but as far as everything else is concerned, it's been great. If you do want to recharge it at home, as I have, you're looking at, if you start off from 10 or 20%, you're looking at about 5 hours to get a full charge. So essentially overnight, you'll get your 50-ish, 40-ish, depending, driving kilometers, all electric power, which is enough to get you to do most of your daily commutes. Okay, air suspension. If I have to come back to the Passport, because, not the Passport, the Pilot, sorry. The ride quality with the air suspension is really, really good. But not so much gooder than what you had in the basic Pilot, which the multi-link setup in the rear. I don't know why I have to say that, but I just do. But if you're going to get an XC90, you get the air suspension, and it will serve you very, very well. I mean, like I said, it handles quite nicely. 275 section. I think it's Continental winter tires on here. Nothing to complain. And I do love brake pedal assistance. It's very, very progressive. Steering is nice too, as you notice that you can also adjust into firm. But when you put the steering assistance into firm, it feels so artificial. It's unpleasant. So you just leave it in normal and everything is good. And that essentially sums up this SUV. It's really good. Looks great. Not the roomiest. Oh, wow. I was about to say not the most reliable, and I forgot. If you did watch my EX30 video, no glitches with the screen per se, but the perimeter sensors that pick up the presence of the key to enable me to unlock the doors without pulling out the key fob have failed me easily 1 out of 2 times. That is incredibly, horribly annoying. I hate it. Absolutely hate it, where you have to go into your pocket. I know, it's a tough life. Go in your pocket, pull out the key fob to unlock the doors when it shouldn't require that step. And another few glitches, whatever. Nothing serious other than that. Yeah, not the most reliable, but really handsome, quite luxurious. I'm going to go so far as to say for what you get, a little bit too pricey, especially with the EX90, though, having read what I read, because I haven't driven it, and my experience with the EX30, I would not touch one of those for at least 2 years, or lease it, but make sure you have at least maybe 2 backup cars. Anyway, that's pretty harsh, but I do mean that. And so yeah, in the segment X5, which I would consider over this, and the Range Rover plug-in hybrid, which has some serious range, but nothing looks, I think, as... No, Range Rover looks pretty good. Anyhow, that's it, I'm done.